John Parker Romo. John Parker Romo. John Parker Romo. John Parker Romo. You know, my first reaction after the Vikings defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars in a thrilling 12-7 victory. At the end of the day, the Minnesota Vikings advanced to 7-2, and when we look back on this season's past, we look back 2 years ago on this season, nobody's going to think about John Parker Romo's 4 field goals or how the Vikings won this game. They're just going to look at the record, 7-2. And going back to my first reaction, John Parker Romo, 4 for 4, has all the Minnesota Vikings points. And in about 4 weeks, if Will Reichard is back healthy for the Minnesota Vikings, he's going to be cut and looking for a new team. He's going to get the game ball too. Like there's no, give me the Kevin O'Connell speech. You're the best impression of that.
I don't know if I have the best impression, but this guy showed perseverance. We loved him in the offseason, but we couldn't justify cutting a draft pick. So we brought him back when times were tough. You're not always going to be your best. But today he was John Parker Romo.
John Parker Romo, let's give him the. Does anybody else offensively deserve a game ball besides John Parker Romo?
Well, Hawkinson finally was decent.
That's true. He was decent. Yeah,
Jones
a lot of third down catches.
Solid. Yeah, a lot of conversions from Hawkinson. Jones was fine. I don't know. Cam Robinson trucked to that one guy on the interception.
That's true.
Although it didn't end up counting, which was nice.
Yeah.
I
looked at John Parker Romo, and now I know I made fun of he's going to get cut in 4 weeks when Will Reichard comes back. It is the reality of it. But the truth also behind the reality is that he's auditioning for his next NFL team right now. So, even though he's going to get cut by the Minnesota Vikings, there's always teams looking for kicker help. Yep. There's always teams struggling. And John Parker Romo submitted a fantastic opening day audition, going 4 for 4.
Yep.
A 45-yard field goal was his longest. And, his last one, he barely snuck that one in the uprights.
Yeah.
And, but doesn't matter. Went in. Vikings sealed the deal. What's your overall reaction to this game besides John Parker Romo?
My first reaction is, like I said, there's a couple of reactions. So my first one is that good teams find a way to win.
Hey.
Right?
Are we a good team?
That was an ugly game. I mean, in a lot of ways it wasn't, I guess, in some ways, right? You controlled the possession. You ran more plays in the red zone than they ran altogether.
Isn't that wild? That's crazy.
It seems impossible. I mean, you held them to less than 10 first downs. You turned them over a couple of times. So, everything you did that was great, a lot of good things, but it comes down to Mr. Sam Darnold, and the decision-making was a little suspect today. But again, we'll get to that in a minute, I'm sure. But great teams find a way to win. I'm sure if we look back at the 2009 Vikings who went 13-3, I'm sure there were some clunkers in there, right? I'm sure there's games that we don't think about that they squeaked out. You go to Jacksonville, kind of that trap game. They're not very good.
But they've been playing teams competitively. Like last week, they lost to the Eagles. Yep. Lost by 5. Trevor Lawrence threw a game-ending interception. The week before, they played another good team, and they lost by 3 points. So, even though they're 2-8 now, they've been a competitive team in almost every single game this year. I looked it up prior to the game, and 5 of their 7 losses have been by 1 score or less. Now they lost 12-7, so the classic can't win 1-score games. Now 6 of their 8 losses have been by 1 score or less.
Yep. And when really, too, I know people look at Mac Jones being the next, filling in for Trevor Lawrence and go, that makes it a lot easier. I mean, if you look at their stats, Mac Jones isn't really much worse than Trevor Lawrence is overall anyway. So it's, I mean,
you're not wrong.
They both kind of stink, except one has a max contract and the other one is a backup. But they're both about the same level of So that wasn't a reason to be overly excited either, other than, I guess, he hadn't played in a few months. But no, I mean, the biggest takeaway is Darnold, I think. It's, is this going to be a problem in the playoffs? And the answer is probably yes.
Right.
Which is a little,
how's it not? You
and
know?
it is. I mean, unfortunately, I mean, I tried to phrase it like a question as if it wouldn't be a question, but it is going to be aggressively a question for his decision making. I mean, that's a couple weeks in a row where it's just not even like, an aggressive mistake where I understand what he's going for.
Exactly. Yeah. The
'Cause, I
first
mean,
one was okay. You know,
Yeah.
deflection, defender stuck his hand in there.
trying to force it somewhere he shouldn't, but
Yeah.
at least I get it. Yep.
Right. At least the defender wasn't standing in front of Jefferson. He deflected it and then went to another guy.
Yep.
But his
And you're
next
trying to
two,
get Jefferson, yeah. But the other two, yeah.
oh, wow. And all three were going towards Jefferson, which I don't think is coincidence either. I think he likes to force things into Justin Jefferson, and he has tunnel vision towards him. I think that's a problem.
But he's also just missing throws. I mean, on that one little corner route, I think Mark Sanchez was the guy, right? He said that's either got to be back pylon where your corner route's running deep to the back pylon, or that's got to be at the front pylon to the boundary so that he can either make the catch or it's out of bounds. And he throws it like behind him, floats it. I mean, that was just awful, to put it simply. I mean, he's had a few of those, and like the other one where he's just trying to force it in. It's like he just don't know what he's looking at some of these times. He's just again aggressive mistakes. I think KOC always is going to be an aggressive play caller, and if you throw interceptions where he's trying to drive the ball down the field, I think that's part of the Vikings offense, right? That's part of what they want Darnold or JJ or Cousins to do, or in the past, drive the ball downfield and take those chances on those play action passes. But his interceptions and decision making right now is just kind of more just bad throws, which is again concerning a little bit.
Right. And remember the days when he was a part of the MVP conversation?
Oh yeah.
After the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, he had 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, had 3 more touchdowns than the second quarterback in the NFL. And since then, since the Detroit Lions game, he's had 6 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. So the clock has flipped on Sam Darnold. And you look at his statistics these last few games. Against the Rams, he was 18 for 25. Against the Colts, he was 28 for 34. Against the Lions, he was 22 for 27. But the statistics aren't really telling the entire story of Sam Darnold. They did in the Jacksonville Jaguars game. But you could start to see a slow regression after the first 4 to 5 weeks of the season, because those first few weeks he was unbelievable. And there's no way that was going to be sustainable. And he did exactly as everyone anticipated. He kind of came back to earth a little bit. I called that out. I get called out by the fan base saying he was 22 for 27. Like, how can you say he regressed? Well, you can tell that Sam Darnold just hasn't had the fluidity, the confidence, the accuracy that he had in the first 4 to 5 weeks of the season. And, everyone comes with here's the number 3 overall pick for a reason. And it's so true. I mean, of course you're going to have talent if you're the number 3 overall pick, but at the same time, people are busts all the time. Jamarcus Russell, number 1 overall pick. Well, he's the number 1 overall pick for a reason. So it doesn't really mean anything if you're not playing well. And now we're starting to see Sam Darnold kind of find the median, right? He's not the best quarterback in the league. He's probably not the worst quarterback in the league. He's probably somewhere in that 18 to 22 range of how good of a quarterback he really is.
Yeah, it would be interesting to actually, not that we need to do this, but to rank them all and figure out where you would actually take Darnold. But when we were talking a handful of weeks ago, the point was not, Darnold's bad. It was Darnold's playing better than even the averages say he should. Even if he's playing well, he's still playing better than he should be. And now, he's kind of came back. And this, you could argue, to your point a little bit, today is maybe on the lower end or the worst end of what his window is or what his range is of outcomes. Excuse me, because he was pretty bad in terms of again, in key moments he was bad. He had some great 3rd down conversions. He hit Hawkinson finally on some third down conversions. Didn't really get any shots down the field that were meaningful, but so there were obviously he showed splashes and moments and stuff, but when it came down to it, yeah, he had some pretty bad throws.
The time of possession, you mentioned this a little bit, but Vikings' time of possession was 42 minutes and 19 seconds compared to 17 minutes and 41 seconds for the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is the most in the Vikings' is the most time of possession among any team in the NFL this season. Yeah. Something that I thought was fascinating is that Mac Jones and the center have their fumbled snap. Harrison Phillips picks it up. Vikings kick a field goal, of course, John Parker Romo. The next possession the Jaguars get, Byron Murphy Jr. picks it off. 3rd and 1, I think Vikings did a little play action. Sam Darnold got sacked.
Yeah, I didn't like that one either.
No, that was questionable. And then Vikings punt it. And despite those 2 turnovers in a row, which happened... Well, the first one happened in Vikings field goal range. The second one happened at like the 50-yard line. Vikings just got to get a few yards, kick a field goal, go up by 8 points.
Yep.
So Jaguars have to go down, score a touchdown, 2-point conversion. They still didn't put the game away.
No.
How many Jaguars are just giving the game to the Minnesota Vikings, and then the Vikings, to credit them a little bit, their offense has moved the ball down the field the entire game.
Right.
And you mentioned, you said they had more offensive plays in the red zone than the Jaguars had plays all game. So in order to do that, you've got to be driving down the field, but they just didn't finish off the drives. And credit to the Vikings defense, because anytime that they got put in a position where, they needed to make a play, are they going to run out of gas? Are they going to have enough energy to finish to get this thing out? Are they going to play a prevent defense where, the Jaguars are going to march all the way down the field and they're going to have like a minute left at the 20-yard line to try to punch it in the end zone for the win? Bynum delivers. Byron Murphy Jr. delivers. Harrison Phillips delivers. And Cashman was huge in this game too.
Yeah, I think that's what we've been missing the last couple of weeks. Is a guy like Cashman, where I know we've hit the point before, but having Cashman, Van Ginkel, and Grenard, it is a lot better than having Hunter and Cousins. It just is. Cousins, he ended up with a decent amount of yardage, but they lost again to the Saints today. And he had a timely interception. Again, Darnold to Cousins. Cousins is better, no doubt, but it's not like it's this huge drop-off. And again, the drop-off is kind of it's overcome by the amount of defenders that we were able to pick up that are impact players this year. And it's even Gilmore, I know he's not been amazing, but the only way you can sign him is with a guy like Cousins gone. So it's been nice. Yeah, I wonder how many times the defense was just rolling their eyes as the Vikings just
seriously.
They just kept coming out and doing what they needed to do. 402 yards to 143. That's a good old fashioned butt kicking for both sides, but obviously on the score it was not.
Right. Sam Darnold, 24 for 38. But it says here he has 14 incompletions. But it's kind of 27 for 38.
Classic.
What do you think? What do you think about that?
It's a classic humor right there. What do you think about? Usually, I am one where I will always err on the side of aggressive in terms of play calling, just because I would much rather go win a game than try to back your way into winning a game.
Yes.
I don't know, especially at the highest levels, like, I don't know. Every team is capable of beating you pretty much on any given day.
For sure.
Even today, I know the Bears kind of suck, but the Patriots destroyed the Bears today, right? You just never know what's going to happen. He had a few questionable ones, I thought. Usually I don't question play calling hardly ever. But that one reverse to Naylor was weird timing.
That was a rough one. Yeah.
Again, where you're driving, and it's almost like you had that one in the practice playbook and you hadn't pulled it out yet.
I want to submit a rule for the wide receiver reverse. Okay. This is my rule going forward for the wide receiver reverse. There should always be an opportunity to throw the ball downfield to a Justin Jefferson and throw it out of bounds.
Yeah.
Because
it goes bad,
regardless of what happens on the reverse, if Justin Jefferson goes down the field, he's taking a defender with him.
Yeah.
instead of having to block the guy.
You don't have to block them always. If you just run a go route, they're going to run with it. Yeah.
He's just taking it with them. So you make it a pass play, reverse, with the option of a pass. Well, if the reverse isn't there, instead of losing 6 yards, like Jalen Naylor did on that play, have the wide receiver option and just have him chuck it out of bounds as far as you can go. And then the play is, nothing. You didn't lose yards. You didn't gain yards. You just plays over. Let's get on to the next one. What are your thoughts on that submission?
Yeah, the only thing you have to be careful about is the illegal man downfield, but other than that, it's good. So you just have to make sure if your linemen know that,
that's true.
Then you're fine.
Right.
Because usually, by that point, they're probably not getting up to the linebackers yet. That would be the biggest, right? Usually they're trying to block up to linebackers, but
that makes sense.
That's the only thing you'd lose is that if he does throw it away, it's going to be a flag if they're working too far ahead. But anyway, that one was weird, and then the
third and one.
Situationally, the 3rd and 1.
Yeah.
I get the aggressive play action, but again, situational, you got to think about, hey, we just need a couple more yards or
sneak.
Maintain our current position so that we have a chance for a field goal, the 8-point game.
Do a quarterback sneak and you can get 1 yard.
Right. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So that one I didn't really like either. Again,
plus, you want to put the ball in the hands of Sam Darnold, who turned it over 4 times, and the Jaguars bailed the Vikings defense out. Yeah. On the hands to the face to Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. And to me, that's one. If that's the first quarter, great.
Yeah.
That's second quarter. Whatever. Earlier in the game, 3rd and 1. That's a great shot opportunity. You're within 40 yards of the go for the end zone kind of thing. If you want to take a real deep shot, whatever. Great. All that's good. But yeah, situationally, when it's the 4th quarter, a field goal is what seals the game essentially.
Yeah.
It saves you that it's going to be a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, and they have to drive the 80 yards to do it. You got to just try to get the yardage at that point, probably. But
right, I agree with you, and I'm not one to question play calling as just like you aren't. But those 2 play calls deserve to be questioned. Specifically, the reverse. What are you doing? It's what was it, like 1st and 10? You need a touchdown, put the game away. It's not like you're at your own 30-yard line and there's lots of room to run.
Right.
The field gets condensed at that portion of the field. So I'm not really sure what was going on there either. And I think there's a difference between, if the Vikings were in a 3rd and 7 situation and we're at the 50-yard line when they ran that 3rd and 1 play, well, then pass the ball. Get the first down. Do what you got to do. 3rd and 1, Darnold's off the entire game. Yeah. And then you put the ball in his hands when he's made poor decisions throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson and really Hawkinson and was really the only and Josh Oliver. Those were the 2 leading wide receivers in the game. Jefferson had 5 catches for 48 yards. Josh Oliver, 4 catches, 52 yards. TJ Hawkinson, 8 catches, 72 yards.
Yeah,
that was a confusing play call.
Addison, I don't know what it is. Yeah.
Free number 3.
On a positive note, did you see the 49ers today?
I did not see that. I saw Baker Mayfield. They won. Okay, I saw Baker Mayfield's stiff arm throw on 4th and 7.
But they, I think they had 2 or 3 missed field goals today, and after the last one,
I saw Debo get in the
long
snapper.
The long snapper and hit the kicker in the face. And hey, but maybe it was a good tragedy because then he made the game-winning field goal a couple minutes later. So I don't know. But at least that's never happened here in Minnesota. I don't think anyway.
Do you think the game ball went to Debo Samuel?
Yeah, for motivating Jake Moody.
This guy faced controversy in the face. He was never afraid to motivate.
Yeah. If controversy was the name of our kicker, Debo faced it right in the face.
Well, Vikings are 7-2. Vikings defense saved them.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold led the Vikings down the field many times. 3 picks, 0 touchdowns. Anything else in this game that we need to address? Oh, one more thing. What about the second interception Darnold had to Justin Jefferson? That was the attempted throw. And it appeared that the ball hit the ground. The officials come out and say it stands because it was inconclusive. Of course, that's going to fire everybody up on the Minnesota Vikings side, at least the fans-wise, because you could almost see that the football hit the ground. But the problem is that the inconclusive evidence I saw the replay, and I'm like, I don't think they're going to overturn that because you can't tell where the left hand of the defender was. And you can see it was up here, but then all of a sudden it came down here. And what if the ball was resting on his elbow or something like that? That call was a little controversial.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people would probably say that's not a catch. But to your point of if you're calling it a catch and then you need to have definitive proof to overturn it, it's a hard one. I mean, again, if you showed, sometimes I think our replay for just college or NFL or whatever, you should just take somebody who doesn't watch football at all ever.
I love that idea.
Yeah, you just show them the video once, maybe twice. Let's go twice.
I think you and Tony had the same idea. Are you and Tony coming together and having conversations about this?
We have our own podcast.
Yeah, okay. Tony had the same exact idea.
Yeah. That's funny. I did not know that. But yeah, and then they get to say, oh yeah, I think he caught it. Or, oh no, that's probably not a catch. And then go with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's hard.
Yeah.
Again, not usually one to pile on the refs too much. Most of us probably would say that was an incomplete, not an interception, but it is hard to overturn in the moment. So,
yeah. And then the face mask at the end of the game.
I'm sure that fired Vikings fans up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, now you call a face mask on the court. I love how one fan, actually, after the interception, people are going nuts on X and replying, saying how the NFL is rigged. And I actually replied to the guy because he responded to me. And I said, if the NFL was rigged, I don't think they'd be rigging the 2-7 Jacksonville Jaguars to try to defeat the Minnesota Vikings, who are, 6-2 at the time.
That'd be a weird one. That'd be a weird one.
That would be weird. Yeah. Yep. So,
at the end of the day, this is just a very hard. Reffing is a very hard job, and when you're doing it at the highest level, it's even harder. So
it is. It's true.
When you got millions of people watching who think they know better, it's a perfect recipe for a disaster.
Yeah, it really was.
So I don't know. I thought it was fine. I mean, it's just bad luck, right? What I thought if I was a quarterback, my face mask would be like so large. Like, I'm sure it's illegal, but I would have like my face mask would jut out like a foot from my face, and then it'd just be like a huge just cage, so that if anyone got near me, it would be inevitable that their hand would touch my face mask and be like, "Whoa, come on!
What happened here?" If I was a quarterback, I'd try to take the defender's arm and put it on my face mask as I was getting sacked.
Yeah.
But anyway, one of my highlights of the game was Van Ginkel's sack, and he didn't celebrate because he was disappointed that he didn't strip sack Mac Jones.
I was kind of waiting for it. I was surprised he didn't.
He tried to. He tried.
He missed. Yeah.
He missed, right. And then he was disappointed even though he sacked him for an 8-yard loss.
Right.
And then, you could see his face, and when most defenders would have been high stepping into the end zone, just celebrating a sack. He was disappointed that he didn't strip sack him. I thought that was cool.
No, I mean, you got, like I said, the guys that we signed all are kind of A+ guys. I mean, if Brian Flores leaves again after this year, it's going to be a sad, sad day. Even though I know we'll still have the guys, but that crew that they have running right now is a pretty fabulous crew.
Right. And they're allowed stinkers. Like, they lost to Ben Johnson, got torqued by him, got torqued by Sean McVay. It happens, right? I mean, I don't know. But
it's a lot easier to play offense than it is to play defense in this league. I mean, that's just the nature of it. The way that the flags are all, for the most part, written, it benefits the offense more than the defense. The penalties, I should say, right? Most of the penalties favor the offense over the defense. Defensive holding, it happens all like. How are you supposed to play defense without touching the guy? But then if you touch the guy, it's holding. But then it's just, and you can't hit guys across the middle. And then
what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, everything puts the defense at a disadvantage for the most part. The only exception, I guess, would be like offensive holding. Sometimes that's about all that they really have going for them. Face mask and horse collar and all these different, head hits, the offensive guy, right? If you're a running back, you're running the ball and you go through the hole, you can go like this, you can lower your head and plow in there. But if a defender does the same thing, it's a flag on you. It's like, why is that?
You got to be careful now if you're the running back, because now they're issuing fines for using your helmet.
True, but it's not a flag, yeah.
Right, yeah, it's not a flag, right? But they are issuing,
right. They do fine you after the fact of $5 to $11 grand if you do something like that. But point is, it's difficult to play defense. So if they're throwing flags on you and the offenses are rolling, it's difficult, right? But what matters is you have a good enough defense, and we do, to make a playoff run. Now we'll just see if the offense can, keep stride with our defense.
Yeah, right.
Now, have you looked at our schedule for November, the rest of the way in December here?
Well, I know they got the Titans next. They got the Bears.
At the
that
Bears,
just lost
to 19-3 to the Patriots.
So they'll have a different head coach by that point.
Almost guaranteed, yeah.
Yeah, you can almost guarantee that. They'll probably have a different head coach and might look completely different than they look now. Every time you fire a head coach and the new one comes in, there's always like a week or two where they're more fired up. Look at the Saints.
Last year with the Raiders, yeah.
You're right. It happened with the Saints today. They fired Dennis Allen. They come out and beat the Atlanta Falcons.
Yep.
Then they got the Arizona Cardinals, who aren't a joke. The Atlanta Falcons
and you're
aren't
home
a joke.
for that, and you're home for that.
Right. Yeah. So
the Falcons lost to the Saints, who just lost to the Panthers. So it's not like
right.
I mean,
it's not like they're a powerhouse.
No.
So this next month of games,
5 you can go 4-1.
Yeah, it's interesting because you just beat the Jaguars 12-7.
Yeah, I know.
So Titans win, Bears win, Cardinals, Falcons win, Seahawks win. I don't see a loss on.
We have one formidable game for Adam here. We have one formidable game, and that's at Detroit in Week 18. All the rest are easy. They're favorable at this point. Yeah. Come on, Adam. I did laugh. So I have Fox on in the background on mute.
Yeah.
And they're going through. They're recapping all the afternoon games, right? They're just talking about each game quick and showing the highlights from like the post-game locker room stuff.
Yeah.
They show the Vikings one. They're all in they're all in the middle, hands in the air. Guess who has a football in his arm? And
John Parker Romo.
And who's leading?
John Parker Romo. John Parker Romo. I mean, my eyes are going to be glued to the Minnesota Vikings video. Their team when they share, that video of Kevin O'Connell's speech in the locker room.
Yep.
I can't wait for that because we all know who it's going to be about.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Van Ginkel, Cashman, there's a lot of defenders that could get
a lot of defenders. Yeah.
I could see him giving one to Cam Robinson again, even though he gave him one last week too, just because he's a rival.
Right. Bynum, Phillips, Murphy.
Yeah. Because, he usually does give them to all the turnover guys pretty often. But
John Parker Romo.
It is amazing that, a professional team can be, I don't know if motivated is the right word, but like he does a phenomenal job motivating a bunch of millionaire macho men to be one, a solid
unit
together. Yeah. It is something that is hard to do, to keep them synergized and everything like that. And it's pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Jacob, thank you as always for your intel, your takes, and you're an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, head coach. You do it all, and you bring it all to the table for this pod. So I appreciate you.
Thank you, friend.